This is the story of Jamie Marie Daigle, a young girl who ventured too far into the shark-filled waters of the Gulf of Mexico and paid with her life. It's a tragic, heartbreaking story, but it's also a story about how multiple people came together and tried to save a life. It was June 25, 2005, and 14-year-old Jamie Marie Daigle was on vacation with her friends. The teenager had just recently graduated 8th grade with honors, and she had plans to attend St. Joseph's Academy in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Jamie herself was a Louisiana resident. The girl lived in the city of Gonzales. Her family, meaning her parents, Ronnie and Wendy, and her older brother, Nicholas, were back home, but Jamie was visiting Florida. In fact, on that Saturday, June 25, 2005, Jamie was enjoying the waves of a Florida Panhandle beach. The Florida Panhandle is the name of the northwestern part of the state. The region is about 200 miles long and 50 to 100 miles wide, and it boasts some of Florida's most amazing beaches. The region is home to everything from quaint fishing villages to popular beachside cities. The climate is favorable all year round, with plenty of activities to satisfy the more adventurous tourists, those who'd rather go scuba diving than simply sunbathe on the shore. Jamie and her friends were on a beach bordering the Gulf of Mexico. The Gulf is old, older than most of our minds can easily comprehend. It's 300 million years old. Over its long existence, it has certainly witnessed countless events. And on that warm June day in 2005, the Gulf was once again a silent witness to a tragedy. Before this vacation in Florida, 14-year-old Jamie Marie Daigle had spent part of her summer vacation volunteering at her church's summer camp for young children. She was now spending some well-deserved time with her friends before her first year of high school started. But as fate had it, Jamie was never going to be a freshman. The day started well. Jamie and her friend, 14-year-old Felicia Venable, played on the beach and swam in the Gulf's waters. They were having a great time enjoying themselves and their time at the beach. Then the two teenage girls started venturing further and further from shore, beyond the first sandbar. Then the two of them passed the second sandbar too. Suddenly, Jamie and Felicia found themselves about 100 yards from shore, too far from the keen eyes of any lifeguard or worrying adult. It's unclear why the girls swam that far away from land. Maybe they were just having fun and wanted to test their limits, or maybe they didn't think about it at all. It proved to be a fatal mistake. As the two of them were happily swimming and splashing around, they saw a dark shadow below the surface coming their way. Before they could do anything at all, the shadow became something far more dangerous. It was a shark, and a hungry one at that. Its small, beady eyes and its sensitive nose were focused on one thing and one thing only: finding prey. The girls, so far away from any possible shape or form of help, were an easy target. They had no time to act. The beast struck, closing its jaws around Jamie Daigle's leg. The shark pulled the girl underwater. When it broke away, the animal took part of Jamie's leg with it. The girl's flesh was torn from hip to knee, exposing her bone. It took only an instant for blood to pool around Jamie, turning the water crimson. Terrified and almost hysterical, Felicia Venable, Jamie's friend, started swimming erratically toward the shore. She had just witnessed her friend being dragged under the waves and mauled by a fierce animal. Her horrifying screams filled the air, which in turn caught the attention of several other beachgoers. They all sprang into action, although not all of them were entirely sure what had really happened out there. 23-year-old Chris White, a state health inspector and volunteer firefighter who had just gotten his EMT license, didn't know there was a shark in the water. He just saw a screaming girl swimming frantically toward the shore and an empty boogie board with no rider. At first, he thought maybe the other girl had gone under or drowned. Nonetheless, he sprang into action. Another beachgoer, Robert Atkinson, who was watching from shore, saw a fin and a pool of blood in the water. His stomach dropped despite the feeling that the whole scene looked like something out of a bad movie. But Atkinson knew it was real. There was no cheap horror movie being filmed on the beach that day. What he saw was a nightmare, a real one. Back in the water, there was another man who noticed something was wrong and took matters into his own hands. Tim Daigle, a 54-year-old surfer, had also been enjoying the waves that day when he heard a scream. The man looked around, and that's when he spotted Jamie Daigle's friend Felicia swimming as fast as she could toward the shore. The young girl seemed desperate to get away from something. It took a moment for Daigle to reach the spot that terrified Felicia so much. When he got there, he suddenly understood. Tim Daigle saw 14-year-old Jamie face down in a crimson-colored, bloody circle of water. It wasn't hard to figure out that all that blood was coming from the girl, and it didn't take too long for Daigle to notice he and the girl weren't the only beings out there. When he looked in the water, Daigle saw a shark. It was obvious the animal had attacked the girl, and by the looks of it, it wanted to try some more. The beast was about to come up and attack again. Daigle put the girl, who by then was already unconscious, on his surfboard. The hungry shark didn't waste a moment. It tried to bite Jamie's hand off, but Daigle and the other people who wanted to help the girl weren't just about to let the animal win. The 54-year-old surfer started towing Jamie toward shore. The shark closed in behind. Meanwhile, 23-year-old Chris was swimming toward the pair, wanting to help. He passed Felicia Venable, Jamie's friend, but the girl couldn't tell him anything about what had happened out there. She was terrified, unable to speak properly. Shortly before Chris White reached Daigle and Jamie, he could hear Daigle screaming and hollering, "There's a shark! There's a shark!" The older man screamed. White and another man with a raft reached Jamie Daigle, who was still unconscious, and Tim Daigle. The waters were moving unnaturally around them. The shark was close by, waiting for a perfect moment to strike again. Chris White grabbed the girl off Daigle's board and pulled her into the raft. He tried not to think about the shark, which was swimming at his feet, but none of them could afford to be attacked. For a while, all the brave rescuers stopped swimming, their bodies going limp and standing vertical in the water. They only dared gently dangle their legs. They were trying to look less like food. It was Daigle who took charge of the situation. The surfer punched the shark in the nose, which deterred its attack for a little while, just enough to let them gather the courage to continue swimming toward the shore. It was hell. The shark wouldn't give up. Despite Daigle's best efforts to scare it off, 6 times the shark tried to attack, and all 6 times were met with the surfer's firm responses. When splashing the water to confuse the animal didn't work anymore, Daigle repeatedly punched it in the nose. And then they finally managed to get Jamie Daigle to the shore, but it was too late for the 14-year-old girl. Paramedics were unable to revive her. The girl was dead. Authorities closed a 20-mile stretch of shore, but reopened it the following day, on Sunday, June 26, 2005. A makeshift memorial was created on the beach in Jamie's memory. The tragedy was best summed up by Gonzales Police Chief Bill Landry, who was interviewed at Jamie's funeral. The man said, "You know, an innocent young lady who was enjoying the prime of her life, to learn what it means to be a teenager, to enjoy what it's like to enjoy high school and prom, and everything that comes with the simple things in life. And she won't get to experience that anymore."